There's nothing in this world that can truly make anyone suffer. Listen to me carefully, because the suffering of the mind in this world has never been treated. The 8 pills we're talking about have nothing to do with this at all. But when you do that, all of this disappears. Right now, we're just taking the things that have already affected us, the things that have settled in our hearts and become sediment. And then we stir up that sediment all over again. But things constantly flowing into our eyes and ears over and over start to mix with what's already there. Old stuff hasn't been cleared out, but new things keep getting added. Phones are expensive, internet expensive, yet we keep buying hell to put into our hearts. Scolding or reprimanding helps children move from wrong to right, but it shouldn't be mixed with emotions of person doing scolding. When heart is empty, it can be filled, but for someone whose heart is already full, nothing more can be added. Once you become free, you still have to keep moving forward. You will find another level of freedom on top of the freedom you already have. It's the kind of suffering that's really obvious. That's the part that when something happens to us, we don't want it, we don't want to carry it around in our minds and hearts. These things range from small, superficial matters all the way up to big issues involving our lives or our families. We feel like we just don't want to carry this burden. But the problem is, we first need to understand what the word suffering really means. It's a short word that all 8 billion people in the world have experienced since the day they were born, no matter what it is, whether it's heartbreak, falling in love, not getting what we want, or even when a serious illness happens to anyone. Even if it doesn't happen to us, but to someone we love, it still brings suffering all the same. So let's get to know this a bit. Let me ask everyone a simple question. Where does suffering arise? It arises in the mind. Everyone can answer that. Suffering arises in the mind. We all feel that it happens in our own hearts. That's it. It doesn't happen anywhere else. But what's strange is, okay, let's say suffering arises in the mind. If we could just take it out and set it aside, that would be fine. Then there probably wouldn't be any problem. But we notice that whenever we suffer, no matter what it's about, it always starts to circle around and linger in our minds. Keeps running through our thoughts, and then sigh, that's the clear signal. The sound of a deep, defeated sigh. It's like our life energy, whether on a scale of 100 or a scale of 10, drops to less than half. Half of our vitality just disappears. No energy left to work, no energy left to think, no energy left to fight against anything at all. Why is it that suffering, which doesn't really seem to have any real form, is just something that pops up in our minds, goes around in circles, and then sigh, we forget about it for a moment, but then it comes back again, and we suffer all over again? What's the real story behind all this? Let me tell you what it's really about. But I have to admit one thing. In such a short amount of time, I can tell you how suffering actually arises. It's quite peculiar and indeed rather perplexing that individuals in this world consistently overlook or fail to recognize this fundamental truth within themselves. Consider, for instance, a hypothetical situation where someone were to direct an insult towards me, perhaps a verbal affront or a disparaging remark. Let's just imagine for a moment that an individual chooses to hurl an insult in my direction. I feel suffering, and I would think that the person who insulted me is the one causing my suffering. To put it simply, this is something everyone can understand. When someone gossips about us or criticizes us, we think that person is the one making us suffer. But if I say, hold on, let's pause for a moment and look at this again. If someone criticizes us and we don't take it in, If we don't let that issue get into our minds and spin around inside, then that person's words can't make us suffer. So if you start to accept it, even if it feels uncomfortable, but listen to me first. I'm here to speak the truth because I don't have much time. I wouldn't waste time just talking. I'm telling the truth. There's nothing in this world that can make people suffer. People in this world suffer because of their own minds. That's all there is to it. That's the end of it. If you want to go, go. 2 hours might seem short, but this is even shorter. Calm down, you still don't get it. Do you? Let me make it a bit clearer, just a bit more. There's nothing in this world that can make anyone suffer. Listen to me carefully. I'm not here joking around, and I'm not using any kind of tricky language or wordplay. Suffering. Everything that's in someone's mind comes from their own mental fabrication created by themselves. Believe it or not, I've given talks all over the world, and on the first day, Westerners don't believe that this is something ordinary people can understand. If it's not about the Buddha, Westerners aren't interested in the Buddha in this way. They're interested in what Dharma is. They know about enlightenment or what enlightenment means. But when it comes to merit, because the term farang refers to a Westerner, like a husband who's Western and has a Thai wife, on weekends they go to the temple together. Because wow, in Europe there are so many temples, Thai temples, Lao temples, all kinds, there are a lot. So they go to make merit together. The Western husbands follow their wives to make merit. The wives go. When making merit, they bring food, bring dishes and things, then hang out and have fun with friends. Most of the time, there's samtam, sticky rice, all the basic stuff. I don't really know what they have here because I don't go to temples much here, but over there, when I go to give talks at temples, wow, the best street food spots are at the temples, and you don't even have to pay for it. That's the thing, oh, it's like you get merit right there. That's why the Westerners hear about it. But the word merit, it wasn't until I sat and listened to Dhamma talks and practiced meditation that I realized why people say Buddhism isn't about merit. Buddhism is about truth, and it's not about belief. What the Buddha realized, he truly attained enlightenment, truly overcame suffering in the mind. All right, let me get to the point. I'll use the same example as last year. I think I've probably told this story before, but I want to use it to lead into the lesson. There was a woman who came to see me on Koh Phaluai, and she sat there crying. She said she came to practice Dhamma, but was criticized by people at home. So I asked her, "Did they come with you?" She said, "No. But yesterday they said really hurtful things about me. It really stung." I sat at home crying until I started to wonder, what's so wrong about coming to practice Dhamma? Why do they have to insult me like this? Until she got here, she sat down and cried, then told me about it. I asked her again, "Did he come with you?" She said, "No, he said those things about me yesterday at my house." You cried. Why? He insulted you yesterday? Yeah, he insulted me yesterday at my house. So I asked, "Are you crying right now because your mind keeps replaying what happened yesterday and it's bringing his words back up again? You end up creating all this anger and resentment inside yourself." That's what I'm saying. You squeeze all that suffering inside and end up crying. So I asked, "Did he actually come here with you?" Me, I want you to start becoming aware of yourself. But you don't realize it. You blame the people at home who scolded you yesterday. even though what you're crying about right now has nothing to do with them. Not at all. He went completely silent. So I asked, why are you so quiet? He might have thought to himself, this guy's being a pain in the ass. I came here to practice Dharma, and now this teacher is starting to mess with me. But I wasn't trying to mess with him at all. I just asked, he's not here with you, is he? Why are you crying? All the suffering you're experiencing doesn't come from anyone else, but from your own mind. And the reason you've stopped crying now is because your mind has stopped its rambling. It's because you have to sit here and listen to me. It's time to go practice Dhamma now. I started off with a short story, just this much, so that everyone can see that suffering in each of us never actually comes from anyone else. I told you to blame everyone who has ever said or done anything to you. We didn't actually take those things I told you we didn't take them. What happens is they're recorded and then the signals are released on their own by a system that has never been trained. The problem for everyone in the world who says suffering comes from the mind is that everyone answers this themselves. A full 100%. So how did it get here? I'll tell you, because the suffering in our hearts in this world has never been trained. It's like a child sucking their thumb, completely clueless. The only thing it uses to build its own world is instinct, the language of science. In psychology, they call it the unconscious. In English, it's called the subconscious. In Pali, it's called anusuya. Every language has a word for it, but they all mean the same thing. All of it is deeply rooted in here. When something impacts us like this, the mind will react in this way. When something impacts us like this, when we see an image like this, it must bring us comfort. When we see something like this, it must cause dissatisfaction. Everything has already been coded and stored under the unconscious mind based on each person's experiences. Today, we keep adding to our unconscious mind through our eyes, ears, nose, and tongue with TikTok, YouTube, or whatever else. It just keeps adding more and more. Could change in a positive or negative way depending on what you listen to, watch, see, or hear. That's exactly what's shaping everything right now. Even if someone comes to teach you walking meditation or sitting meditation, you just do the walking or sitting meditation as they instruct, and that's it. Do you notice that in the end you just go back home and everything is the same as before? What has really changed? Is it that we can't change at all? No, it's because change doesn't happen all at once. But we have to admit that the things that come in through our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, let's say through TikTok, YouTube, and real life in our family, 95% of it comes from those things, while what we get from walking meditation or sitting meditation might not even reach 1 or 2%. So of course, we can imagine how hard it would be to change that 95% with just 5% or even 2%. It's not easy. Therefore, it's not that there's any method out there that's so powerful it works for everyone. There really isn't. It all comes down to how we live our lives. Now, if we come back to the question of why suffering arises in our hearts, let me use this as an example. If I say, all right, let's practice Dhamma, when we're feeling angry at that moment, is that wholesome or unwholesome? It's unwholesome, right? Everyone can answer that. Anger is never a good thing. It makes our minds agitated and unsettled. That makes us feel uneasy. So there's always this sigh, right? I have a piece of media that I once played during a retreat in Bangkok. Let's take a look.
But if I say all sorts of things to you and you don't get angry, like you've got a mustache, floppy ears, a flat chest, a thick body, short legs, a big butt, dark elbows, rough knees, a bell-shaped head, a wolf's brain, a buffalo's wits, your dad's dead. If I say all that to you, would you get angry? Wow, you're really mad.
So everyone in the world right now, this is really the best we can do, you know? I mean, we're already doing our best. If anyone thinks, no way, this woman wouldn't be affected by the last sentence, honestly, she'd already be hit by the first two words. The person who insults us, just the first two words are enough. They probably wouldn't even make it to the end. They'd have to start speaking softly or something, but it wouldn't get that far. It's already over from the very first part. But what's really going on with all this? She's trying to come to terms with it, right? These days, whenever someone is suffering from something, we always hear this. Yeah, just let it go, Psalm. Let's say a woman is having problems with her boyfriend or something, and people say, just let it go. That guy's always been like that. He's just a jerk. He's always been like that. He's always been the same from start to finish, never good, not even for a day. He's just consistently the same through and through. So, just let it go? What does that even mean, to let it go? You mean just accept how bad he is? When? If you can get yourself to accept this kind of bad behavior, your heart will start to suffer less. That's actually a good way, but the real question is, how long can you keep it up? That's the problem. Like I just said, how long can you really keep doing that? Because maybe our heart or our foundation isn't really there. Maybe it's actually over here, for example. So we have to force ourselves to accept things the way they are, but honestly, we can't keep it up for long, because everything will eventually go back to its base. Normally, by nature, things will return to their base. And as soon as they do, boom, it all comes back up again. And then the suffering comes back up again. Or maybe it explodes, or whatever happens, that's just how it is. Yep. Whenever we see this picture, the suffering can disappear. The first and simplest way is to just accept it. On the outside, it looks like you're not angry, but inside you're still bottling it all up. That's the way most people in the world deal with it. You get the idea, right? The second way is, if you come to me, what can I do? Well, time will help change things on its own. So, say we meet again in 6 months. How are you doing now? Oh, I'm better now. Teacher, I'm feeling a bit better now. I can accept the reality now. Yeah, I can accept the fact that this is how they are. They've left whatever happened. My heart is starting to accept the truth. Once you can accept the truth, the suffering just vanishes instantly. But when new problems come up, when a third or a fourth issue arises, the heart that managed to accept the first truth starts to struggle with accepting the second and third truths. So then it has to try to accept the second truth as well. And then it has to keep accepting the third truth. This is really the best that people in this world can do. That's it. No matter what you do, you can't get past this. You just keep going around in circles, stuck in your own heart. This is why you have to keep accepting reality over and over. What does Buddhism really teach? Actually, never mind Buddhism. What did the Buddha truly realize? The Four Noble Truths. But the more you listen, the further away you feel from truly understanding it. But that's okay. If I had the time to explain, I would explain it to you right now. What I'm about to talk about is the Four Noble Truths. Can I actually translate them in a way that connects everything together? When you have time, you can try listening to the path explained in a language other than Pali. It's not about the words at all. It's all right here. Whether you suffer or not, it all happens here. What I've been explaining isn't just about accepting things as they are. First, accepting things as they are is the highest level for people in this world. Second, accepting reality. Most people can manage that. Third, I've given an example before about accepting reality to the point where it reaches the highest level, a level that humans can't achieve. This goes beyond that. It's another step further. First, this comes from practicing Dharma, and it's like this. Right now, imagine the image of two parallel train tracks running side by side. Can you picture it? The train tracks are made of two steel rails. Let's say the right rail, well, your left is the rail on the right side, which represents the reality of the world as it happens in each moment. Whether it's raining, thundering, people fighting, or whatever occurs, it's like this line of truth runs along this rail on my right side. As for the left rail, that's the rail of each person's mind, the way they perceive the world that unfolds on the rail of reality. Let me give you an example. For instance, if you're in a relationship and your partner leaves you for someone else, the woman in this case would feel a lot of suffering inside. She would remember all the times they went places together, all the resentment. Why did she have to leave me and go be with someone else? These kinds of feelings arise in that person's heart, and that's what we call suffering, the kind we're all familiar with. If I use this example, everyone immediately understands what I mean. Why is that? And if one day, say, 6 months have passed and we run into that woman and ask her how she's doing now, she says, "Oh, I'm okay now. I've come to terms with it." What does it mean to come to terms with it? Look at this reality. As I mentioned before, on the left side is the mind of every person. It starts to accept what was lost. The suffering drops dramatically. Whenever the mind can accept the truth, the suffering just plummets. It can barely cling on anymore. You can picture that, right? All right, before I continue, I want you to notice something. There's the line of reality that I've been talking about, and then there's the line of what's in the human heart. There are two parts. Strange, isn't it? All humans base things on their own feelings, not on the reality that actually happens in the world. So you don't even need to ask me where suffering comes from. Do you? We set our minds in the wrong place. We use our own hearts. We want the whole world to revolve around us. We want everything in the world to go the way we want. For example, today if we do laundry, well, maybe this example doesn't quite fit here because here you use a dryer, but just imagine it. I can't think of a better example. Let's say you wash your clothes and hang them out to dry, and you want the sun to come out today. Suddenly, as you're walking, the sky goes boom. The rain pours down in a torrent. Your bed sheets, pillowcases, everything is soaked and ruined. You're like, hey, I was just about to finish the laundry. Come on. So you get annoyed. If I were in that situation, I'd be frustrated too. Like, oh man, I just finished doing the laundry and then it suddenly pours down rain. The weather forecast even said it would be sunny. So that's why I decided to wash the clothes. And then out of nowhere, it rains like that. Why do people suffer in situations like this? It's just that things didn't go the way they wanted from the start. That's all. That's really all there is to it, and then they start cursing. They blame the weather, even though the weather has nothing to do with it at all. It all happens because of factors like humidity, temperature, and all sorts of other things. It has nothing to do with our minds, not us. Oh, the flood, teacher, the world is getting hotter. Causes and conditions make things happen. It's not to bother anyone. But when things don't go our way, we suffer. If we adjust our lives to what's happening, living with an understanding of the world and nature, then suffering will have a hard time arising. No matter what, we just keep doing our work. We keep fulfilling our duties, and suffering can't find a place to settle. The only way suffering can take hold is if we let our minds fixate on it. We refuse to accept any reality of how this world is. The word world doesn't just mean nature, you know. It also includes the people sitting next to you. It includes your boss. It includes the government. It includes everything. The owner of the company we work for, or even if we're the owner ourselves. The economy changes, everything changes. Sales drop, there are fewer customers, and selling things almost leads to losses, so we suffer. But even if we understand the reality, will we still make a loss? Teacher? You might make a loss but not suffer. So what do you do then? Well, you still have to deal with it, right? But people who don't suffer, they have the brain power to think. They have the focus to come up with solutions more than those who are suffering. They'll keep finding ways out. They'll scale down the work. They'll resize. They'll do whatever it takes. They can do it all, scaling down to fit the business, and in this economy, you can do all of that. It might take a bit longer to change, but it's doable. You don't get stuck, you don't get bogged down in suffering. So what I'm trying to point out to you is that all of this is so we don't get trapped in our suffering. Because suffering arises in our own minds, and it happens when we set our minds on wanting everything in the world to go exactly as we wish. Only then do we feel happy. You get what I mean? So will we ever find happiness? If we do things this way, maybe we won't, or maybe we will. But it might be just a little, right? Now, let's look at it from a theoretical perspective. What if we don't set our minds on things being a certain way? That is, we have a mind that accepts things as they really are. But that person is still doing their very best. But that person is still doing their very best in every moment, all the same, whether they set their mind to it or not. If they set their mind to it, they work. They love their children. They love their husband or wife as best as they can every day. But they don't set any expectations. If their child does well in school, that's great. They support them. If their child doesn't do as well as they'd hoped, they understand a child's abilities may not suit a particular thing, but perhaps the child excels at something else, so they recognize this and think, hey, maybe they should do this instead. They can see these things, but if we insist, my child must be a doctor, then both child and parent get stressed. So ultimately, both sides end up stressed. But who knows, maybe someday it might happen. If the child's potential doesn't break down along the way, but if it does break down before then, I'm not on board with that. Then it just turns into a bigger mess with everyone getting more entangled. We have to stay grounded in reality. Now we're starting to see the picture. The theory I'm talking about might sound easy, like, oh, it's all good, just go back and you'll understand everything as it really is. Just one word, okay. That's it, really. No need to overthink it. Whether you've got a wolf's brain or a buffalo's wits, it's all the same. Just now, I really got worked up because there's still something left inside. What's inside is that instinct. Whenever something triggers it, it just reacts that way. You won't be able to keep up with what I'm saying. When the moment of impact actually comes, you won't be able to think fast enough, you won't be able to think at all, and honestly, you won't even care to think. All right, let me give you an example so you can understand me. I haven't even gotten anywhere yet, just this much. Oh, people just accept the truth and let it out. The moment you run into this person or that person, someone you've argued with before, someone you're not happy with, or a business partner where there's been trouble, people cursing at you or criticizing you, you try to keep your mind wholesome, you try to accept reality, but honestly, you can't keep it up for long. just like a moment ago, in the end, it all comes down to this. Because of the resentment that's been bottled up inside, it eventually explodes. So it's not. The enlightenment of the Buddha, everything I've said so far, if you can actually do it, it's just what people in this world are already capable of. Whether you can do it or not, that's another story. But coming to practice Dhamma isn't like this. It's not just about this level of understanding. It's about understanding that goes all the way down to the roots. Yeah. The fundamental root cause isn't merely about letting go of the harsh words people might use to insult you, but rather, and more profoundly, it's about letting go at the very deepest level of perception itself. This isn't just wisdom at the superficial level of simply listening to what others say. I genuinely want you to try looking at this concept again, perhaps from a slightly different angle, in order to build a much deeper and more comprehensive understanding of precisely what I'm talking about here. You'll undoubtedly see that there's a very significant amount of use of modern media and various digital platforms these days. So, let's first take a moment to carefully look at how we actually perceive and interpret things. It seems quite evident that we generally have some foundational understanding of science, right? So please look at me. You see me sitting in front of you on the chair at the front of the room. When you look at the principal Buddha image, you see the Buddha image sitting there, right there on the altar. Now, let's try to understand what they're trying to explain. They say that light hits an object and then reflects into everyone's eyes. Suppose this is the eyeball, our eye socket, and there's an aperture on the left side, that's the pupil. When light enters inside into the eye socket, the image actually gets flipped upside down. Do you feel like you're seeing things upside down? You see, I'm just sitting here normally, right? All through life, we see the world upside down. The picture only gets reoriented in our brains. Right now, everyone is subject to this scientific law. The image you see is actually upside down. But the last thing he said is interesting, as shown in the Thai subtitles. The image gets flipped again in the brain. This means that when the image is upside down inside your eye, there must be a process in our eyeball to send electrical signals to the brain, sending the image up to the brain, and then the brain flips that image back to normal. That's why you see the image of me sitting here as normal. But let's pause here for a moment. Before you see me sitting normally, let me ask you, where do you actually see me? It's actually in your own brain. You don't really see me sitting in front of you, you know? Do you get it? Or maybe you don't. If you can't picture it, that's okay. It's not strange if you don't understand. Have you ever taken a selfie? Oh, I don't even need to ask. Everyone in the world has. These days, even the elderly are taking selfies. All right, let's say we're taking a selfie. I'm taking a selfie right now. I can see all of you too, you know. Now, you'll notice that everyone's image. On this side, someone in a red shirt, someone in another color. This side is all in the picture, right? Right. If I say your image is over there, but the image on my screen is just a virtual image, you get what I mean, right? This is a virtual image. Hello, hello. Oh, my hand just touched it. What's on my screen is a virtual image. I'm actually sitting right here, right? What you're seeing of me in your mind is a virtual image, you see. That's how it is. Now you get it, right? You're not actually seeing the real me here, are you? Oh, it's not that I touched it. The battery just died. The term virtual image means an image that isn't real. Let's say, for example, there's a fight happening right here. This spot is real, but what you're seeing is virtual. So try looking at that red rose. Turn to look at the picture on the wall, then look at the door, and then look around this room. Or even turn to look at the person next to you. Have you ever actually seen anyone real in this world? Other than seeing them through virtual images, you get what I mean? Believe it or not, you don't have to, because this is the truth. What I'm trying to tell everyone is that you don't have to believe me, and I'm not here to talk about beliefs. I'm here to tell you the truth. Like I said, when foreigners sit and watch, they know, everyone knows this. Foreigners know, especially physicists, those who call themselves doctors, they know. But what I'm about to connect next is something they don't know. What the Buddha realized, and how he was able to transform people and remove suffering from their hearts. How could it all end when what he saw, the whole world that exists within each person, in our brains and in our hearts, isn't actually real? I ask you, do you really see me? You'd have to say, yes, I'm really sitting right here. But what you see isn't real, that's the first point. Second, let's say you do see me. Let's say we're together, we're a couple, and you see me like this every day. One day I die. The image of me that you used to see keeps circling around in your mind, you know? Sometimes it'll replay scenes of us traveling together. Sometimes it'll show the image of you waking up and expecting me to be standing right here. You'll have to go cook. You'll have to be the one to do the laundry, right? Or is it the other way around, Professor? So you'll keep seeing these images floating around because what you see of this world, you see through your own mind. What you hear of this world, you hear through your own ears. And right here behind the wall of our eyeballs, where the image is said to be upside down, it's actually filled with things like this. Lot and clone. When light hits these hairs, the hairs act to convert it into electrical signals. Just imagine it. Look at my hand, okay? Right now, it's translating signals extremely fast. Try turning your head from the blanket to the main Buddha image and then look back. You'll notice that the brain processes what happens incredibly quickly, almost with no delay. But actually, there is a delay. What you see in this world is delayed. While I'm getting up and walking over here, by the time you see me arrive here, I've already passed this spot. While you're crossing the street, let's say we're about to cross and we see a car over there by that chair. So we step out and the car almost hits us. Because the image we see in this world, it's all delayed by these processes, you know. Just a moment ago, I saw it was still far away. So why did it pass by the moment I stepped out? But that happens to old people. So why doesn't it happen to young women? Well, the brain has a process to compensate for time. But for older people, that process has deteriorated. Their ability to interpret is also impaired, so the delay gets even worse. But for young people, or whatever you want to call it, while you're stepping forward, the car is actually already here. But what we see is that the car is still by the chair. We see the car at the chair, but in reality, the car has already reached here. The car is actually right here. So when an elderly person steps down, since they still see the car as being far away, they can't process the change in time. They think the car is still far, but as they step down, they get hit. But for young people, even if the car is way over there, the brain will compensate for the speed and make us see it as being right here. That's why we don't step down. The brain does the work automatically. It automatically compensates for these images, makes up for the time lost due to misunderstandings. Do you get it? Inside, even when I tell you, you might not want to believe it. This is all a completely natural automatic process, but we always think we're the ones doing it, see? I won't go too deep into that just yet. But can we see that all these natural processes I'm showing you, well, for all 8 billion people on this planet, if you tell them that these processes, we have them, that someone created us, that we are the owners of this life, let's just say. If I talk about the 5 aggregates or about robots, that's a different topic. Here, it's about the feeling of ownership over this thing that operates on its own, thinking it's us. We use the word we that suddenly pops up. Then when the body changes, say it gets cancer and we experience suffering because we say that this body is ours. When something changes inside, oh, it hurts, there's pain. All of it ends up being centered on US. All the thoughts we have get focused there because we're the ones who say we're thinking it's our mind, even though the mind, it just exists according to its own nature. All right, I'll stop here. Otherwise, if I keep pulling it out further, it will just, well, it's the truth, but it's a truth at a level that people in this world aren't ready to hear. I'll speak at a level that people in the world can understand first, because we don't have much time. If we take it apart, we might not have time to fix it. They say, if it's not broken, don't take it apart. So just let your things be as they are. As soon as I arrive, I start taking things apart, and then, oh, just like that, there's not much time left. I leave first, and then, hey, you just took it apart and left it in a pile like this. So I'll just take a little bit apart, just a bit, and then quickly put it back together. Otherwise, I won't have time to reassemble it. We just want to show that when we say our eyes see what you see, you're not actually seeing me here. You're not seeing your house over there. You're not seeing your partner sitting next to you. But everything is in your mind. Wait, isn't that the brain? All right, professor, let's just leave it at that. The more we talk, the deeper it gets. It took me time to explain this to foreigners. So when you say the brain is the mind, if you're seeing me and I take a cleaver and split open your skull, where's the brain? Which part is responsible for seeing? Where exactly is the image? You won't find anything at all. All you'll see is blood pouring out and that soft, wrinkled brain matter. If you cut it right through, split it into 2 pieces, where's the image? These are the processes that keep going, but science can't see or detect them. But the movement, the shifting like a projector that can be controlled to work, it's all happening in the CPU in its own system. But this right here, this is what happens in the mind. If this part doesn't exist, then that part has no meaning at all, because there's nothing for it to interact with. Now, it interacts because of the seeing that we're experiencing. Because it's been a habit since we were kids, we can't really tell what's real and what's not. What's in our mind feels real to us. If you've never seen it, because everyone in the world only sees just a virtual image, a fake one that's in their mind. So I started with what the eyes see, and now I'm opening up to the idea that all sensations are actually felt in the brain, which is really in the mind. Then let's say you get burned by fire and it's hot and your skin blisters, something like that. The sensation gets sent to the brain and you feel, ouch, it hurts, it burns so much. So does the mind suffer? Yes, the mind suffers a lot. Hot water scalds your hand and it just melts away. It's like modeling clay, you know? At that moment, you're really suffering. But if suddenly I stop and say it's just a current in the nervous system sending a signal to the brain, and the brain interprets it and makes you pull your hand away even though it's injured. Do you realize that the injury becomes ours inside us? That's when suffering arises. At that moment, if we don't pull the injury or the pain into our hearts, it just becomes ordinary pain, just a normal burning or stinging pain that doesn't make the heart suffer. That's why I said this part might be a bit hard to understand, but it's the truth, and it's not a truth that anyone can make happen for you. Everything I'm about to say can't make it happen either. It's actually the result of doing something else and then letting go of this thing. That's what the Noble Eightfold Path is, the Eightfold Medicine we're talking about. It's not directly related to this part. But when you do that, all of this disappears. When Westerners hear this, they realize this is the true wonder of enlightenment. What the Buddha realized wasn't about belief, wasn't about faith, and wasn't about merit. Everyone is heading down the wrong path. Especially as time passes, the further we get from those 2,000 years ago, the more humanity keeps straying further and further from the right path, even though the true teachings are right there. What I'm about to say is this: what we see in this world gets reflected into each person's mind, and our minds know nothing at all, so they just play with that information until they create a sense of self, a sense of suffering within themselves. As I mentioned at the very beginning, there is no one and nothing in this world that can actually make anyone suffer. Except for our own mind, it's like a child that has never known anything, completely disorganized. It grabs messy, scattered information, mashes it all together, and then creates suffering within ourselves. That's all there is to it. Now, everyone, close your eyes and become aware of your breath. Take a deep, slow, and deliberate breath in. Break time equals 0.5s/. Feel the gentle breath as it softly brushes past the very tip of your nose, moving deeply inside, and then slowly exhale softly and completely. Break time equals 0.5s/. Inhale deeply, allowing your lungs to fully expand, and then exhale slowly and fully, releasing all tension. Break time equals 0.5s/. Pay very close attention to the subtle sensation of the cool air moving in and out. You might vividly visualize the air flowing in, or you might actually feel its presence at your nose. Either way is perfectly fine and acceptable. Break time equals 0.5s/. Don't open your eyes just yet. Allow yourself to remain in this peaceful state. Notice how your mind naturally becomes calm. Break time equals 0.5s/. Now. Keep observing this calmness in your mind. Then, slowly open your eyes, but still hold on to that sense of calmness. Open your eyes and look at me. But it feels like you can't fully focus because you're still aware of that calmness in your mind. It's as if you're just passively looking at the image in front of you, but your mind remains calm. Your mind is being taught to recognize a side it has never encountered before: calmness. Since the mind never knew there were two options, it will choose what it's familiar with. What it's used to each day is chaos, and it ends up creating suffering for itself. Imagine if we gradually taught this sense of calm to our mind, letting it learn more and more, and then even more continuously. But, oh teacher, I don't have time, I have to work. While I told you to open your eyes and observe your calm mind, you were already able to work at that moment. But this time, you'll be working differently from before. You'll be working with a calm mind. You can still do everything, still talk. But, teacher, as soon as I pick up the phone, it feels like my mind is about to slip away. That's okay, no problem. If your mind slips away for a while, you'll start to feel irritated, angry, or whatever it is, and then you gently bring it back and teach it again. In every moment of life, every second, we've never really taught it. This is a mind that has never been taught. The minds of 8 billion people on this planet have never been taught to realize that this world has two sides, the world inside their own minds. There are two sides. One is the side of darkness, which is the side we're most familiar with, and the other is the side of purity, brightness, and peace. Just think, what do you teach your mind to recognize daily? Because this is something no one else can do for you. No one can come, tell you, push you, or create that brightness within you. Even if someone had supernatural powers, they could only affect worldly things. But what is happening in our own minds if we don't do it ourselves? Who else will? Even the Buddha said that the Tathagata cannot make anyone become anything. The Tathagata is merely a guide who shows the way. That's what he meant. He cannot liberate anyone or make anyone's mind radiant. Don't be unwholesome, it can't be done. Because it's each person's own life, so the fact that he shows us the way is already a great thing. As for whether we do it or not, that's up to us. Just imagine when I have you focus on your breath, simple and short, our minds gradually become truly calm. Now picture someone who's been put in jail. They sit there waiting, and time seems to stretch out in their mind. But whenever you stop paying attention to distance and time, the mind will come to a stop. When the mind stops, distance and time disappear. That means the mind isn't pressured, isn't moving, isn't creating, isn't fabricating anything. Distance and time just fade away. They disappear. Like when you drive to a friend's house and you think, why does it feel like it's taking forever to get there? You feel like the distance is so far and it takes so much time. But on the way back, ask anyone, hey, how come it feels like you're home in no time? Why is that? The distance is exactly the same. But whenever the mind isn't attached or involved, it's like time just disappears. Oh, it's like when people sit and play cards, right? Professor, one night goes by and suddenly it's morning, and they still haven't finished playing. Yeah, that's it. If the mind isn't attached, but the mind just ends up suffering over something else instead. It's not really about whether it's morning or not. It's just there, whether it's morning or not. Morning comes, but it's filled with suffering, pressure, because that pressure brings no benefit at all. Other than just creating suffering for yourself, you end up losing money too. Let me show you another piece of media. It might help some things up and give you a better understanding.
As a human, what you are is a set of electrochemical signals running through circuits in your brain. It's funny, no windows, you know. The only way you receive information is through your sensory nervous system, from memories or from your thoughts, things you create yourself. So, what these electrochemical signals perceive about the world are just other electrochemical signals coming from different systems, constructing a grand illusion of reality around us. It's not that the world around us doesn't exist. It does, but you've never actually been there. You've never even visited. The only place you've ever been is inside your own mind.
The only place you've ever been is inside your own mind. Just that, nothing else. It's pretty strange, isn't it? And I'm not here to talk philosophy, by the way. This is the truth. We can only get out of suffering through understanding. Now, you might say, well, Westerners already know this. Yes, they know it, but they don't know the way out. They know the facts. This is what I just showed you in the media a moment ago. Our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body all receive stimuli, which then become electrical and chemical signals, just like they talk about, sent to the brain. Then the brain processes all of it. What the eyes see, what the ears hear. Right now, as you're looking at me, are you really seeing me with your eyes? Yes, you see me, and you can hear me too. So all of this is being mixed together right now. You feel like I'm sitting right in front of you. Everything in your brain is creating this illusion, making you understand it that way, making you perceive it that way. You hear it. Right now, you can hear me. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Not really. You can't hear me because, but in this particular case, my battery isn't completely dead. Hello, hello, everyone. Sorry, I truly didn't prepare for this at all. This is a live show, a live performance in concert right here, right now. There's no schedule. You feel like you can hear me because you see my mouth moving, right? Do you know that your brain is matching my moving mouth? Where's the speaker? Anyway? Hello? Hello? Are you hearing me from up here? But you feel like you're hearing my voice from my mouth. This is how the brain works, right? It's not just me, right? It's not just my brain. Every human brain works in much the same way. It typically gives very little inherent value to the sound that is coming from up there, above us. But it matches the moving mouth that the eyes see with the sound the ears hear. It tells you that the sound you're hearing is coming from here, even though you've never actually heard my voice from this spot. You're hearing it from the speakers above your head. This is the process I'm talking about, and this is what they're referring to.
There are no windows in your skull.
Our skull has no windows. Everything comes in through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body.
The only way you can receive information is through your sensory system, your memories, or your thoughts. That's what you have.
From the senses, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, from your own memories that gradually unfold, and from the thinking processes, all of it comes together in the same place and is displayed in the mind. All happiness, suffering, satisfaction, and dissatisfaction arise entirely in here. All of it happens right here. No one can truly make anyone else suffer.
So, what the electrochemical signals perceive about the world are just other electrochemical signals coming from different systems, creating a grand illusion of reality around us. It's not that the world around us doesn't exist. It does exist. But you've never actually been there. You've never even visited it. The only place you've ever truly been is inside your own mind.
So this is the truth. But then some people come and tell me, wow, if you see things this way, then everything in the world must feel bland, right, Professor? It must be neither happy nor sad. Is that it? Well, that's up to you to decide. If you think about it theoretically, you might see it that way. But in reality, there is a system called life, the body and mind, or if you want to use Dharma terms, the five aggregates, which are basically the body and mind. These already have their own basis of experience. All happiness and suffering comes from misunderstanding, from clinging, from being locked into only knowing what we've experienced ourselves. And that's why we can't see the truth of nature. Let me give you a simple example just for you to get the idea. Suppose there's a Hollywood movie, a really famous drama. I don't know anything about it, but then it comes to theaters here and everyone rushes to see it. You see it from the very first showing. Then friends invite you to watch it again, so you go a second time. Another friend asks, so you go a third time. Other friends haven't seen it yet, and they say, hey, come watch it with me. So you go a fourth and fifth time. Each time your friends invite you, they're really into it, crying, laughing, and making a big scene in the theater. After about the fourth or fifth time, our friends will turn to look at us. Aren't you having fun? They turn to look. Aren't you having fun? Fun? Well, I haven't seen you cry at all. I'm crying my heart out here. Yeah, go ahead and cry, so what? Geez, why do guys always have to leave girls like this? So we end up crying. Hey, soon he'll just find someone new anyway. He'll meet someone else before long. Before you know it, you'll meet a new guy, better than before, even more handsome. Something will happen again, and you'll be sitting there anxious. Doesn't that excite you? There's nothing, really. Half of them will die off soon, then the rest will keep building their city. Until the movie ends and we walk out. My friend's face is all smudged with makeup, and I just head home, like, yeah, see you around. It doesn't seem like there's much going on inside. Didn't you have fun? I did have fun. If I didn't, why would I come and sit here with you? It was fun, but I just understand things differently. All right, that's another one done. Now, in the beginning, let's look at what we've been talking about. Suffering arises in the mind. Okay, everyone knows that. Then I said that the suffering that arises in the mind, I gave an example of a woman who was suffering, sitting there crying. The real reason was that she was scolded yesterday. But even now she's still sitting there crying because her mind keeps spinning around, thinking about it over and over again, holding on to that anger and resentment and crying out of frustration and being overwhelmed. So then we realize and understand that suffering actually comes from our own mind. Let's pause here for now, even if we understand this. Our mind still doesn't stop. This is the question, and this is the problem. This means that even if you come to listen to a lecture and feel like, wow, teacher, I get it, I understand, there's nothing left to understand, the moment you step out the door, suffering arises right away. Because suffering doesn't come from that place. Suffering comes from the instincts deeply rooted within, deeply rooted in everyone. The Buddha called this anusuya, latent tendencies. You can't stop it. It works on autopilot. It operates automatically. When you hear this, you get angry. When you hear that, you like it. When someone praises you, you feel pleased. These reactions are automatic. When you see something like this, you immediately smile. When you see something like that, wow, you get stressed, your face turns sour. You turn to look, listening, then pick up your phone to check line and think, wow, what is this? So what does this reaction, this kind of response really show? Man, my heart just sank like that. Sai, I feel so discouraged. Well, next time I'll brace myself. That shows at least some mindfulness has arrived, right? Mindfulness comes first, then you slowly let go little by little. Yeah, that feels a bit better. Practicing Dharma is about gradually releasing things. These knots, these pain points, all of them need to be removed. But you can't just order them to go away, can you? Even today. We all know that when suffering arises in the mind, we just tell it to stop. Oh, if only it were that easy, why isn't it? So we have to turn back and ask ourselves, why is that? Why can't we just command it to stop? When we say, this is my mind, these are my thoughts, everything, we claim that it all belongs to us, like that woman who was insulted. She sits there, replaying the scene from yesterday when she was scolded, feeling sad, and that image just keeps looping over and over in her mind. But she says that person did this to her, even though everything is actually just spinning around in her own mind. Now, if we start to step back from our old understanding and begin to develop wisdom, we can look at it from a new perspective. Oh, so that person is suffering because of the thoughts spinning around in her mind, right? Yes, because the voices of people scolding you are silent now. It ended yesterday. It was over since yesterday. Right now, as you're suffering, have you noticed if there's anything happening at this moment? Is the issue happening or not? But we're thinking about it right now, right? We're bringing up things that have already affected us, things that are still lingering in our hearts, settling like sediment. And then we stir up that sediment all over again. And then we sigh and we feel exhausted inside. And then we feel troubled again. We feel pressured because we keep stirring up that sediment, right? Where do we stir it up? Right here in our hearts. Where else would it be? So then how do we get out of it? Just stop stirring it up? Well, try it and see if you can stop. You can't. You'll answer yourself that you can't stop. If you could, you'd just sigh and say, I'm done with this. You get bored, but in less than 3 seconds, you're back at it again. It doesn't listen. Because it doesn't get us anywhere. It's just a habit. Why is that? Why does it come from habit? When we're not doing anything, what do we do? Right? When we don't know what to do, what do we do? This right here. See? This. So what's wrong with that? I'm not saying it's wrong. Tell me, where is it wrong? But the things that are flowing into your eyes and ears, they start to mix with what's already there, right? Adding more and more, even though the old stuff hasn't been cleared out yet, but you just keep putting in new stuff. Oh, so should I just stop watching then? I don't know about that. That's not my business. But what I'm trying to say is that everything in this world, we should look at it with an impartial mind first. It's not like, oh, the teacher says this, the teacher says that. I'm just here to explain the world to you. It's not that I'm here to say something and then you have to listen and then you have to defend or something like that. I'm trying to get everyone to see the picture with me, that the problems happening to humanity, the ones I'm talking about, these things, they're not just about this. But it's all these things, all this stuff everywhere. If you just sit and watch Dharma or the media, or if you're just watching the news, then go ahead and watch it. If you don't watch, then you just won't know what's going on in this world. But when we watch, this side is fighting with that side. People are dying. Oh, so many are dying. And it just makes us feel sad. Our minds become clouded, pressured, resentful toward this side or that side. Which side are you on? Then you end up resenting the other side. Honestly, at this point, we can't say who's right or wrong. Everything's a mess. It's all chaotic. We have to consume news with a calm mind. The first person to go to hell won't be them. It'll be us, getting all worked up. The first person is us, because as soon as it hits, our hearts just boil over. From being totally normal, just having coffee, minding your own business. Then you see this news and suddenly you turn into a demon just like that. Out of nowhere, you become a demon, and then you end up getting yourself used to being angry, to holding grudges. See now where this habit comes from? The moment you see it, you go, damn, this jerk, just cursing them out in your head. That's it. You're building up anger and resentment in your own heart. You're turning yourself into a demon without even realizing it. Your phone is expensive, your internet is expensive, and yet you're just buying hell to put into your heart. There's nothing worthwhile about it at all. So, living life in this world, being born as a human, we end up creating a negative balance. If it's a positive, it means good feelings. A negative is the bad feelings we create and put into our own hearts. Right now, just picture it like this. What exactly are we putting into ourselves? If you say, yeah, I did this to myself. No one came to plow this field for me. I plowed it myself. I held the grudge myself. I got angry myself. As soon as you read what they wrote, let's say it's a message you really don't want to see, and you just happen to come across those words. Suddenly pops up in your mind. No one can really make us suffer except for our own mind, which is about to. Yeah, that's absolutely true. It's definitely worth it after all the significant effort to come all the way here. Perhaps your eyes are still looking around, but your mind isn't really looking anymore. Your mind is truly watching right here, right now. Yeah, it's like just now, it just stopped. Oh, when someone insults you, do you have to sit there like a statue, like a cement Buddha? I never said that at all. You can respond, but this time do it with a calm mind. Explain yourself. Man, people like this, well then, there's no need to keep talking. That just shows you want to be that way, see? If someone insults us or our family and we feel resentment, right, Ajarn, that's unwholesome, but still you tell us to just sit quietly. I could say anything. I could say whatever I want. But you have to keep your own mind in check. That's it. If you want to say something, explain, or clarify anything, just go ahead and say it. Words spoken by someone who is mindful and aware, who doesn't lose their temper or anything like that, I think that's way more powerful. If you really pay attention, when someone speaks with a calm heart, it hurts even more. It's like the person who's angry gets cut deep by it. They just speak very normally. They explain things in a very normal way. If it's already like that and they don't know, they just don't. If they don't get it, just stop. It's a waste of time and energy. If they're ready to listen, to hear, then we can talk. But if they're not ready, there's no need to say anything. Why bother? Or like people who get bullied, for example. These days, it's not just kids getting bullied, even adults get bullied. People write nasty things to us on our Facebook pages and stuff like that. If we don't let those things get to us and stir us up inside, I really want to know, how could we possibly suffer? The person who writes nasty things to us, they must be angry inside. They must be dissatisfied in their own hearts. That's the only way they could start writing like that, because they're suffering. That's number one. Number two, after they've written and sent it to us, if we don't read it, they'll suffer even more. Why haven't we read it yet? They'll start to get restless. I'm telling you, if you just ignore it, hey, because, you know, while they're getting restless and watching, they're already preparing a comeback, ready with another retort, because they already know what we're going to say in response. They're getting their second sword ready to strike. But sorry to say, that first sword has already stabbed themselves. We don't respond at all, and now they start to get angry. Then we stay silent, and that sword they've prepared, they have to hold it in their heart, but not for long. They have to type, And as soon as they send it, I'm like, wow, they're really anxious. I haven't even replied yet. And here comes another message from them. I ask you, between these two people, who is suffering? For sure. So last year when I gave a talk, I remember saying, if there's crap, the person who wants to insult us starts scooping it up to eat. We don't have to share it with them. But if they eat it and we can't stand it, we end up scooping it up to eat too. As soon as we scoop it up, they scoop it up too. And then we scoop it up again. But this time they scoop it up and then watch to see if we'll do the same, but we just ignore it. We're not here to suffer because of them. But if, say, the teacher doesn't actually read it but just sees it, at that moment the heart still gets heated. When the heart gets heated, it's actually easier to calm down. You can still be aware of your breath, still practice, still do something. But if you actually read it, and then an explosion of emotions and thoughts erupts inside, and you type something back just to get your satisfaction, at that point, you're basically descending into hell right along with them. But if we're going to respond, how should we do it? Sometimes you just can't hold it in. The old instincts are still there. I know this, so before I reply, I become aware of my breath first, making sure my mind is in a normal, calm state. But once you start replying, your mind will start to become less and less calm, because you're not happy about it either. Your mind won't be very calm, but if you're still mindful, the agitation won't be too much, and soon it'll settle down. If you have to respond, say, let's say your boss just yelled at you. You have to reply. You can't just stay silent. So you answer, but do it with a calm mind. You can even smile while you do it, teacher. They won't see you smile, though. But do you believe that when you type something, whatever feeling you have while typing, the reader can sense how you feel? Oh, then just add an emoji, right? But those emojis, they're all fake. Try going to practice Dharma and then send a message to your friends saying, sadhu. You just add the praying hands emoji like this. But look, when they type the word sadhu, what are they actually doing? Are they really expressing any reverence? Do they even have the heart to care about anyone? These days, everyone's just rushing to get their work done. That's all there is to it. Aunt Jeeb has to keep selling her stuff, saying sadhu, sadhu to people, and she just sighs like that. Otherwise, why bother doing it at all? She just responds out of habit. That's all there is to living life. While we still don't understand, we feel like when we get angry and don't react, it's as if we're letting go. But actually, we haven't really let go of certain things. I want you to understand the difference between two words, letting go and neglecting. The line between them is very thin. Let me give you an example that might make it clearer. Because I always use this example, for instance, suppose you are a manager, the manager of a company or a store, or whatever it may be, and then you go to practice Dhamma, and when you return to work, your subordinates are sluggish, always coming in late and clocking in late. When it's time to work, they just sit around doing nothing. At first, you might wonder, or someone might tell you, why are things so bad like this? Sai, let it go. This is the phrase, the letting go that you asked about, and it's also the kind of letting go that most people feel like, yeah, just let it go, whatever, just leave it. If you scold them, you'll just end up suffering yourself for no reason. This is what they call letting go. But I feel like the word let go is almost the same as neglect. These two words really overlap. They're practically the same word. but it's just being used under a different name. This isn't Dharma anymore. Someone else went to practice Dharma, my subordinate. It was really bad. As soon as he arrived, I called him in to talk. I had already complained, already warned him. I don't even know how many warnings there had been. Now it's time to let him go. I guess I just have to accept it now. We just can't work together anymore. Maybe try looking at other companies, somewhere you feel more comfortable. If working here makes you uncomfortable, then let's just end things here. Go ahead and sign here, and I'll take care of your accumulated funds and everything. I'm not angry at all. There's nothing personal about this. But he is the manager who has to make sure the company survives and stays safe. He can't just let his own feelings, like being a kind-hearted person, get in the way and do things like this. That would mean he's being selfish. He's putting his own feelings first without considering. The company he works for and serves without considering whether it can survive or not, just putting his own feelings first. He says he's letting go, but in reality, he's neglecting the rules and disregarding them. It's actually the company's regulations that handle everything straightforwardly, without any personal feelings mixed in. There's no personal grudge against this person, nor any personal favoritism toward that person. That's why these people are so straightforward like this. That's what true letting go is. The world misunderstands this. When I gave a lecture to judges, the most popular question they asked me, and I've answered it maybe 100 times, was, is it a sin to sentence someone to death? I've answered this question so many times because sometimes they feel uneasy about it too. So I said, let me put it this way, I won't answer just yet, but let me answer another question for you. Let me tell you a story. Back in the day, about 500 years after the Buddha's passing, King Milinda and the monk Nagasena once discussed this very question. King Milinda was a ruler at the time. Nagasena was an arahant in that era. King Milinda asked Nagasena, as the king, if ordering the execution of a thief was a sin. Nagasena then asked King Milinda in return, well then, would a good person order someone to be beheaded? King Milinda replied, of course not. A good person wouldn't have someone beheaded because that person hasn't done anything wrong. So why do you behead thieves? Because they've done something wrong, that's why I behead them. Well then, if you ask whether it's a sin, then let me ask you this. When a thief is beheaded, it's because, well, they've done something wrong, right? It's because they've done something wrong. Therefore, if the person who orders the beheading has no personal feelings involved, free from greed, meaning there's no desire to see them die, and free from anger, meaning there's no resentment like, why did they have to do something so bad? So, ordering a beheading out of spite, just behead this bastard, is mixed with personal feelings, anger influencing the decision, and delusion, self-importance. I have the power, I can do this. Why is that considered delusion? Therefore, if the mind is mixed with these three things, then karma is definitely involved. That action will immediately be biased. But if the decision to punish in that way isn't mixed with greed, anger, or delusion, then that decision will be free from self-interest. Instead, it becomes an action for the world. Those people are like revered figures preserving justice in the world, and they do it without any personal feelings at all. So in this world, If there are still people who perform their duties or do their work with this feeling, the world will be peaceful and harmonious. But people often deceive themselves, pretending to let go, claiming to be neutral. Even parents who say, "I love my child. I never expect anything in return," any kind of reward if you really look closely and reflect. I don't really want to say too much, but since I've come this far, let me just say it all. When your child's friends come over for a party at your house, and the neighbors are all there, when your child is about to eat something, the other kids grab it and eat it first. Your child never gets to eat in time. When they're playing together, sometimes they kick or shove, and our child gets knocked around. Whatever happens, it's always our child who ends up getting the worst of it. What the heck? These neighbor kids, don't their parents teach them any manners? Or what? As soon as they arrive, they just snatch everything. My kid doesn't get to eat anything, even though it's our own stuff. Then the next week, the neighbors throw a party and our kid goes too. The same kind of thing happens. Our kid kicks, our kid goes and kicks others, pushes them, grabs their food too. Sometimes, and we feel like, hey, what's going on? Kids will be kids. That's just how it is. When our kid does it to others, it's just kids, it's no big deal. But if it's our kid who gets hurt, then it's a big deal. So, are we really sure that we live our lives with true impartiality? Because in the end, we always side with ourselves. But we don't realize it. When we scold our kids and they don't do what we told them to do, they just keep doing things their own way. And we end up lecturing them until our mouths are dry, and our mouths are practically drooling. Why are they so stubborn? You get frustrated. While you're feeling that emotion, that feeling pushes your words and actions out. Do you realize that someone who truly understands things objectively, if they were to raise a child, how exactly would they go about doing it? Is scolding truly an effective and constructive way to genuinely help a child move from a state of wrong behavior to one of right conduct, all without mixing in any of your own personal emotions at all? I've already thoroughly explained this particular point in detail. If they don't follow, you don't get emotional, you don't get angry. You realize that changing habits or old behaviors isn't easy. So all we really need to do is this. Keep doing, keep saying, keep repeating things so the child gradually becomes aware and learns so they can move away from those behaviors. If you can picture how the two mothers are different, then look at the impact it has on the child. That child will be a perfect member of society, coming from a family that's emotionally complete. They won't bully, won't hurt, won't do anything bad to their friends. Because they're in a society where, well, this time the child made a mistake. So the child must be punished. Whether it's Westerners or Thais nowadays, they're highly educated. They say things like being grounded, not allowed to eat snacks, no TV, no games, or whatever it is, the child will be subject to the rules that were previously agreed upon. When you do something wrong like this, you have to be punished in this way. After the punishment is over, when it's time to eat, I call my child to come eat together. After finishing dinner, I remind them, tonight you're grounded, right? You can't come out, can't play games, can't watch TV. Then I walk them to their room door, give them a hug and a kiss on the cheek, and send them into their room, closing the door. I tell them, Mom is never angry with you. You were punished, but Mom didn't punish you because she was upset. So, in this kind of society, people can live together very peacefully. But when someone does something wrong, they have to admit it. People these days do something wrong and refuse to admit it. That's why they argue, even though they know they've made a mistake. But their ego flares up and they can't stand it. They say, you could just talk to me nicely, and so on. So, in the end, what's the conclusion? Is it wrong or not? So, you can see this starting from your partner, your family. If things turn out this way, everything gets chaotic, the whole group. But if it could really be the way I described, wow, that would be ideal. Well, Professor, I don't really know, but I just want you to picture that if things could be like this society, even in a small social unit like a family, just imagine how peaceful it could be. Would it still create problems for society? Those problems would just keep decreasing, They'll start to develop a sense of maturity within themselves. Even if they're still young, they'll have that maturity inside. Of course, we can't change every family, but if you ask me to explain, this is how I'd put it. Letting go and neglecting are two completely different things. But there's just a fine line between them, that's all. Where do you think loneliness, depression, and feeling empty come from? Imagine you used to live with your partner, with your family, in a lively, happy home. Then one day, everyone is gone. They've gone on trips, gone out of town, gone to Thailand, and you're left at home all alone, just by yourself. Professor, it feels kind of empty, It's strange, you don't know where to turn, you don't see anyone at all, and whatever you do, you used to laugh together. Those memories just keep coming back, Say, that voice again, that voice again. And then, hey, how was it? Thailand? It was awesome, man. Okay, it was really awesome, seriously. Why does it feel so lonely like this? All right, I asked, what if you switch it up, switch to the calm side, stay alone in a room just by yourself for 3 months straight? There's nothing like peaceful happiness, a calm mind, true comfort. Nothing else compares. Well, I asked, how are these two situations different? Both are about being alone. Let's say the rooms are right next to each other. One person is about to go crazy. They're suffering, stressed, depressed, not knowing what to do. They've watched every movie there is, and still it doesn't go away. They're bored out of their mind. Do you know why? Because they've been taught to keep searching for things to fill themselves with. But the things they're searching for, all of them are fake, they don't really exist. It's trying to satisfy the cravings of things that don't even exist with things that are just as unreal. How does our mind react? Wow, if you really understand Dharma, so what is wholesome right now? Do you see now what unwholesome is? Do you see why it arises without even asking? Hey, don't worry, keep talking. I'm just borrowing your case as an example. Thanks a lot. See, this wasn't planned, this wasn't scheduled either. But it works every time. Not planned, but it works every time. If it were my stuff, I'd be upset again. Oh, but if it's the teachers, it's fine, right? See, if it's the teachers, hey, the teacher's busy, only comes by. But for us, they've already warned us, and still, hey, I'm not blaming you. Kid, don't sit there looking down. For me, in this course, if anyone forgets something, they're not murderers. If the person everyone is staring at suddenly has their phone ring, I wouldn't know where to hide my face. Exactly. My phone didn't ring, that's all. I didn't turn it off. So the impact happens right away. That's it. This is all I wanted to point out, just this. Like, wow, after hearing this, what really is merit? Now you know it all now, right? If you listen to the Buddha's words, you know everything. Just don't let yourself jump up. Did you just jump up a moment ago? You don't have to tell me. Just be aware of it yourself, all right? So all these things, they don't come from just hearing or listening. They actually come from something deeper. The work you do is the result of its causes. If the cause is wrong, the result will turn out wrong too. Any day that the cause is right, that is right view, the result will change. We're not changing anything about ourselves, but it changes the cause and the result will change. The more we truly understand reality, let me stress reality, not just our own understanding, in our thoughts, it will help us be free from suffering. We really can be free from suffering. Honestly, good energy starts with good food from Aunt Jeeb's restaurant. Then, when we all work together to make a living, without a host, how would we meet? It's that simple. That's why I value the host. Wow, I really get it now. Today the teacher came. Oh wow, thank you so much, teacher. No need to thank me. If there wasn't someone paying for this room, if there was no one would come to help with anything at all. Did they collect money? Did they? No, did they charge the people who came to listen? Oh, the room fee, they always charge that. One way or another, you have to pay. That's the question we have to ask ourselves. You spent money. Why though? I don't even know you. I've never supported your shop either. I still support other shops, or maybe one day in the future, we might feel a little awkward, like, hey, let's go support their shop for once, since they went out of their way to host, anything at all. But that's not why they did it. They have no idea who will come from which town. But last year there were hundreds of people, and this year there are hundreds too. A lot of people say there are so many people, and yeah, there really are a lot. Because, if we tell people, if everyone interested in Dharma comes, like when I give talks in Bangkok, there are about 500 people interested in Dharma who show up. That might not seem strange. You might feel they're interested in Dhamma. They've practiced with the teacher, listened, and invite others, so it ends up being 500. But in this case, 100 came even though they weren't interested. Friends called them, or someone brought them, hey, come listen. They saw that what was being said made sense. Anyone could understand it. If it didn't make sense, why would anyone come? It made sense, that's all. But it's about understanding, really getting it. So let's just say, when it comes to good energy, where does it come from? The truth is, there are two parts. The first part, like I mentioned, the turning point for me was that I experienced suffering. When I went through a lot of suffering, deep down in everyone's heart, there's really no one who wants to stay stuck in misery. Sadness like this, we've all had happy lives before, good lives, families, or whatever it may be. But one day, when we sink into it and suffer a lot, everyone feels the urge to get out of that suffering. It's just natural. It's like we're sinking into a pit. We want to climb out because all we do is sink. Everything is dirty and messy. There comes a certain point that the Buddha talked about not reaching suffering, not reaching the Dhamma. Oh, if it's like this, it must be terrible, right? But that's not true. Even the fully enlightened Buddha himself, on the day he ordained, or for many people who become interested in Dhamma, their lives weren't falling apart like what I just described. Their lives were peaceful and they had everything they needed. But it just felt like there was something that wasn't quite fulfilling. No matter if it's money, happiness, or whatever else, it just doesn't really answer the question. No matter how much you search, it's like you're chasing after something intangible, and it slips away so quickly. It's like there's nothing left. You have to keep chasing, constantly searching, though it keeps slipping away, disappearing. No matter how far you go, to the ends of the earth, even if you travel everywhere to find happiness, no matter what you try to add to your life, but it still doesn't satisfy the heart at all. These people who already have everything will start to wonder, what exactly is it in this world? And the answer to that is already found in enlightenment. Even if they keep searching, no matter how much they have, there are always others who have more. No matter how much you get, it never ends. You'll keep wanting more until you die. One thing that might help is to use the money you have to help society. They might feel a small happiness from helping society, because when it comes to fulfilling their own feelings, they never really find satisfaction. Even if they buy a car or whatever, the happiness is still fleeting. When your heart is empty, you can fill it up, but for someone whose heart is already full, nothing more can get in. It's like pouring in, but it just feels hollow. You can't find what you're looking for. No matter how much you get, it never really satisfies. So what is the real truth that will make a person? They might say that true happiness, true Dharma, doesn't lie in words. Dharma is within each person in how you understand life, how you understand change, how you understand pressure, and how you understand letting go. It's not about being here or there. If you let go, you'll feel light, free, and liberated. And once you're free, the journey still continues. You'll find another level of freedom on top of the freedom you've already found. That is to say, it will ultimately come to an end. Today we are indeed free from what we cling to, but there still remains a subtle sense of self. On the final day, we will be completely free from even the feeling of being a self. Break time equals 0.5s/, and then we will truly encounter the true nature of things, where there is absolutely no suffering, nothing else whatsoever, eternally. So where are we then, teacher? By that day, there probably won't be anyone left to answer. That's all. But I'm still afraid of dying. Someday, I'll realize that no one dies, no one ever really dies. There is only the arising and the breaking apart and destruction of this thing. But because of ignorance, something is created, a feeling called wrong view, which then clings to this nature, both body and the mind. Once that happens, there will be no more suffering over this. Then it will encounter happiness, and after that, let go and be free once again, eventually reaching this very nature. This is just the principle. Anyone can talk about the principle. But the real issue is, can you actually walk the path? Can you really reach it? The truth is, everything starts from the beginning for everyone. Today in Buddhism be. What is it? 2568 to 2568. We might have heard this so often that we're used to it, but the phrase 2,568 years after the Buddha's passing, how long did he live? We've heard that he lived for 80 years, and he attained enlightenment at the age of 35. So there were 45 years left that he spent traveling and teaching the Dhamma. If someone is 35 years old today, from now until they reach 80, the age at which the Buddha passed away, that period is actually quite short. If someone is 80 years old now and looks back, they can recall what they were doing at 35. We can see that life is really brief. But the Buddha dedicated everything from 35 to 80 to spreading the Dhamma for all humanity, together with his chief disciples, Sariputta and Moggallana, traveling everywhere to spread the Dhamma. This is what it looks like when someone is free from craving, when someone is empty of self. But why did he never stop working? He slept at 2 in the morning and woke up at 4 every day for 35 years. Because his time in this world was extremely limited. I don't think we need any doctor to tell us that's not good for your health, Professor. You should probably wear an Apple Watch to see how many hours you sleep at night. Vadhatu even called it cowardly. Hey, each person's life, we've always thought about how we can get this or that, but have we ever noticed that there are people who say, with the time they have left, what can they do for this world? Do as much as they can before they take their last breath. It's actually the opposite. So today we live in a world where we can't see that there are people who already do things without wanting anything in return, who act with their hearts, unlike those who only think about themselves. But instead, we just keep bringing things to ourselves, only thinking about our own matters, about things close to us, and never really thinking about others at all, let alone all of humanity, just within our own society, just in terms of how much we do for anyone else.
Today, I, Aunt G, thank the teacher. Last year, we talked about you absolutely having to come, and we practiced sitting, waiting. While waiting, time moved so slowly. Every day now, we live our lives together, opening, closing the shop, opening and closing again. I think everyone probably feels the same fulfilling duties going to work. But today, after a year, we are truly lucky to have received Dharma from the teacher, who has shared and supported our hearts, giving us strength. It's the strength that helps us continue on with our lives, just like we've heard, and I think everyone understands. It allows us to get through each day. Whenever I feel like I'm about to falter, I think of the Dharma teacher, open up to it, and wow, I feel a spark in my heart. Anyway, I just want to say thank you, and I bow in gratitude to the teacher. I hope I'll still be sitting here waiting for the teacher to come and show kindness again. But I'm happy if you come again, that would be wonderful. But let's not forget. Thank you so much.